pleasant day to each and every one of you, hospitality and tourism management students. Welcome to THM08, Legal Aspects in Tourism and Hospitality class. This is Ma'am Venise Ocampo, your instructor in THM08. For today's lesson, we are going to talk about Module 2.2, which is Consumer Rights and Complaints. For the learning objectives at the end of this module, you must be able to explain the difference between consumer, customer, and guest. Number 2, discuss the Basic Consumer Act of the Philippines. Number 3, explain the nature of guest complaints in tourism and hospitality through virtual interaction. So now let's begin discussing consumer rights and complaints. But before that, let us first define what is a consumer. So when we say consumer, this is a person. So now let us first define the term consumer. So consumer is a person who buys goods and services for their own use. That is a definition according to a commerce. Marketing and advertising including many words that can be difficult for common people to understand. So, marketing and advertising is really connected with one another because it is our way on how are we going to promote our products, how our products will be known in the market, and how the products will be, spread towards the community. However, a consumer and a customer is different. However, a consumer and customer is different from one another. When we say consumer, it is someone who consumes or uses the goods and services. While customer is someone who purchases the commodity and makes the payment. So when we say commodity, these are the basic goods. So, si consumer, siya mismo yung gumagamit, siya mismo yung, gumagamit ng mga products, ng mga services. Wherein, si customer, pwedeng siya lang yung bibili ng mga commodity, ng mga products, pero hindi siya mismo yung gagamit. Let's say, for example, your mom asks you to buy a chicken meat in the market. So, ang tawag doon, kapag binili mo yung chicken meat, ikaw yung customer. 'Di ba? Pero, kung yung chicken meat na yon is iluluto ng nanay mo, pero ipapakain niya sa mga bisita niya, ang consumer is yung mga bisita or yung mami mo. Pero, kung ikaw din mismo is kumain ka ng niluto ng mami mo, usually, consumer ka din. So, that is just a basic example. Example also is that when your friend books a room in a particular hotel, so he booked a room being the third party, pero hindi talaga ikaw yung magi-stay sa room. Binook mo lang for other people. So, ibig sabihin, in that case, you're a customer. You just make the payment or you just purchase a particular products and services, but iba yung tao na gagamit or magkukonsume mismo. Now, how about the definition of guest? So, a guest is a person entertained in one's house. So, guests, so sila usually na pumupunta sa mga hotels, sa mga resorts, or anyone who is being extended, yung tinatawag nating hospitality. A person who pays for the services of an establishment such as hotel or restaurant. So you can call it or you can call them as a guest. Next one is the definition of complaints. So when we say complaint, it is a statement that something is wrong. Okay? So something is wrong or not good enough. So it is the act of complaining or the thing you are complaining about. So, in Tagalog, ito yung mga reklamo, mga hinanaing ng isang customer, ng isang guest, ng isang turista. So, in law, a complaint is a formal statement to a government authority that you have a legal cause to a complaint about the way you have been treated. So, ibig sabihin, kapag inirelate na natin siya sa batas or sa law, usually may mga kaakibat na talaga na penalties, may mga kaakibat na mga cases or mga kaso na pwedeng isampa if the complaint is really valid. But before we move on to the Consumer Bill of Rights, let me just discuss to you the 5 types of customer and their complaints. So kindly take note of this because this is an additional information or points in our lesson. The number 1 is the meek customer. So let me just write it in the side. So the meek customer. So these are the customers who avoid submitting a complaint because he or she doesn't want to be in pain or believes that you don't care. So ito yung mga klase ng customer na hindi na sila magrereklamo because they believe wala ka namang pakialam. They believe na parang wala namang gagawin yung particular na company na yon. Wala namang gagawin yung particular restaurant na yon sa reklamo mo. And what are the risks kapag ganun yung klase ng customer mo? Usually, they leave without giving any indication kung ano ba yung nangyari. Kung ano ba yung mali. Ibig sabihin, umalis sila sa establishment, bumili sila ng product, may reklamo sila pero hindi na nila inireklamo. Ibig sabihin, ikaw, as a business owner, you are clueless. Ano ba yung mali? Ano ba yung nangyaring mali? Ano ba yung na-experience ni customer na mali na hindi natin alam? Because si meek customer, from the word itself, meek, tahimik. Okay? So, it is a person or a customer that is really not complaining at all. Because meron siyang standpoint na hindi naman ma-actionan yun. Na wala naman pakialam yung establishment. The number 2 is the aggressive customer. Okay? So, aggressive customer. So, from the word itself, these are the customers, these are the guests na they will loudly voice out their complaints. And they will not accept any excuses. Ibig sabihin, ito yung mga customers na talagang, kung tawagin natin sa Filipino term, palengkera. Ito yung mga customers na wala silang pakialam kahit ano yung sabihin mong excuses as long as na i-voice out nila yung kanilang reklamo. So how are you going to respond to that kind of customer or to that kind of guest? Of course, you really need to thank the customer, okay, for the, let's say, goods and services na inavail niya. And after that, you have to listen. You have to listen to their complaints, hear their complaints, and later on make a solution. Ibig sabihin, aamuhin mo si customer. Dahil galit siya, dapat hindi ka rin galit. Dapat nandun ka lang sa mababang emotion na wherein dapat mas pakinggan mo si customer. Tsaka ka gagawa ng solution or ng ways kung paano mare-resolve. But of course, there are risks. Okay? So kapag si customer is aggressive, usually, they are mirroring the customer's aggressive behavior will make the situation worse. So as a, let's say, as a flight attendant, as a travel agent, as a waiter, if you are going to mirror, or let's say, gagayahin mo yung reaksyon ni customer, mas lalo lang magiging malala yung sitwasyon. So sabi ko nga kanina, kahit galit si customer at kahit naiinis ka na din or nagagalit ka na din, gustong-gusto mo nang magalit din, hindi pwede. So you really need to calm down. If you can't handle the situation, call for your supervisor, call for a person na pwedeng pumalit sa'yo sa situation na yon habang ikaw nagpapakalma ka din muna. The number 3 is the high roller customer. So, sino naman si high roller customer? So, these are the enterprise customers or the individuals who pay well and expect premium support. Ibig sabihin, ito yung mga customers natin na usually mga businessman or let's say, ito yung mga elite customers natin na wherein kung ano yung presyo ng goods ng mga services, babayaran nila. And in return, they expect something na kapag may nangyaring hindi maayos with the product or may hindi na i-perform ng maayos sa services, you will be there to support. Ibig sabihin, to give additional services or care services. So, ibig sabihin, how are you going to respond? It means that they want the best. Kasi gusto nila the best yung bibili nila, maayos, high quality. So, if there are times na meron silang reklamo, the thing you need to do is to really listen. Listen carefully about the complaints. And that is, of course, they want the problem resolved in a timely manner. Yun naman yung risk. Because dahil nagbayad sila ng maayos, di ba? Kumbaga, malaki yung ininvest nila for a particular goods or services, they want na kapag may problema, ma-actionan agad. Ibig sabihin, bigyan nyo sila ng, let's say, for a particular 1 week, maayos yung problema. Number 4 is the rip-off customer. So, sino naman si rip-off customer? So, rip-off customers, they are looking for a handout very detailed. So, ibig sabihin, they are the kind of customers that they are looking for something. So, what will be your response? So, you need to maintain composure. Respond objectively if solution isn't good enough. And, of course, you need to back up your response. As much as possible, may back up ka. Okay? So, these customers may take advantage of the company. Ibig sabihin, ito yung mga klase ng customers na pwedeng siraan ka, na pwedeng may mga gawing aksyon na hindi mo agad malaman. So usually, kailangan talaga is amuhin din natin sila. Parang yung kay aggressive customer. Bigyan natin ng mga solutions, mga alternative solutions. And of course, the last one, the chronic complainer customer. So, chronic complainer. So, si chronic complainer customer, these are the customers that is never happy and continuously reports issues. So, ito yung mga customers talaga natin na medyo madiwara, hindi sila nasasatisfy sa mga products and mga services, at patuloy silang nagre-reklamo. So, they want an apology and sympathy. So, ibig sabihin, para hindi na lumaki yung gulo, just apologize. As long as na talaga namang valid yung reklamo ni customer, yung complaints, the company should apologize. The person in charge should apologize. And when we say sympathize, ibig sabihin, put your shoes in their shoes. Ibig sabihin, para alam mo din yung feeling. Bakit ganun ba kagalit si customer? Bakit ganun siya reklamo ng reklamo? Okay? Para sa ganun, mas maintindihan natin si customers. And usually, the chronic complainer customers, sila na yung mga repeat customers nyo kasi. Yung mga paulit-ulit na bumibili ng products nyo. And of course, dahil sila is one of the loyal customers nyo na, alam na nila yung standard. Alam na nila yung, let's say, yung quality. Ngayon, pag naiba talaga yung quality, that's the time na magre-reklamo sila. Parang sa pagkain lang, di ba? If ever na hindi mo nagustuhan yung luto, naninibago ka, iba na ba yung chef? Iba na ba yung mga ingredients na ginagamit? So, ibig sabihin, magre-reklamo ka sa point na yun. But not in the sense na sisiraan mo na yung mismong company or establishments. So, those are the 5 types of customers and their complaints. So, next one is the Consumer Bill of Rights. So, in 1962, President John F. Kennedy presented a speech to the United States Congress in which he extolled 4 basic consumer rights, later called the Consumer Bill of Rights. In 1985, these rights were expanded to 8 by the United Nations, and these 8 rights are the following. So, number 1 is the right to safety. So, everything that I'm going to talk about is easy, so you can really understand it quickly. So, right to safety. So, the assertion of this right is aimed at the defense of consumers against injuries caused by products other than automobile vehicles and implies that the product should cause no harm to their users if such is executed as prescribed. So, the right to safety, napakadaling intindihin. Ibig sabihin, we as a consumer, as a customer, we have the right to buy products to avail services that are safe, and that will cause us satisfaction but not a harm. So, ibig sabihin, ayan o, sabi dito, cause no harm. Kasi hindi naman tayo bibili ng mga products na tayo mismo is mapapahamak. Not unless you are not really looking sa mga good products and services. Kung ikaw yung klase ng customers that you are impulsive, or you are a type of consumer na impulsive, yung bili na lang ng bili, avail na lang ng avail ng mga services without even knowing what kind of product or what services is that. Okay? So next one is the right to be informed. So the right states that businesses should always provide consumers with enough appropriate information to make intelligent and informed product choices. So as a consumer, we all have the right to know the facts about a particular product. It should be complete and truthful. Ibig sabihin, kung ano yung information na nakalagay sa isang produkto, dapat nakasaad yun, kompleto. Walang halong kasinungalingan. Walang halong, walang halong mga kung ano-anong mga information na hindi naman relevant. For example, if you are going to buy a tour package, dapat si travel agent or si tour operator, dapat nakasaad doon ano lang yung mga inclusions, ano lang yung mga exclusions. Ibig sabihin, dapat detalyado. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, ano lang yung mga inclusions, ano lang yung mga nakapaloob dun sa tour package na binayaran ko na worth 20,000. Ano naman yung mga hindi kasama sa package? Para na sa ganun, well-informed si customer, si guest, si consumer, or si tourist. So, the right aims to achieve protection against misleading information in the areas of financing, advertising, labeling, and packaging. So, we all have the rights to know kung merong mga hidden charges yan. Although, sabi nga, hidden, hindi mo makikita, nakatago. But, unfortunately, if you are really impulsive, hindi ka talaga nag-iisip muna, usually talagang nagkakaroon ng mga scam. Diba? Mai-scam ka, maloloko ka. So, advertising, labeling, and packaging. So, importante din yan. When you advertise a product, you have to make sure na lahat ng sinasabi mo sa advertisement, sa commercial, is totoo. And of course, the packaging. So, dapat kung ano yung nakikita sa virtual, ano yung nakikita sa television, ganun din yung makikita nila sa personal. So, it is not deceiving. Next one is the right to choose. The right to free choice among variety of products, offering states that consumers should have a variety of options provided by different companies from which to choose. So, alam naman natin yan. We all have the right to choose. Meron tayong free will na mamili ng mga gusto natin na product at yung mga ayaw natin na product. That's why sa market, napakaraming mga products na, let's say, same product but different brands. For example, sa pagluluto, 'di ba? Napakaraming mga brand ng pasta. Napakaraming mga brand ng mga soy sauce. So, ibig sabihin, it depends upon you kung anong brand yung pipiliin mo. Pero same product lang. Pasta lang yung hinahanap mo, pero marami kang options kung anong klaseng pasta, kung anong brand ng pasta yung bibilin mo. Same with tourism industry. There are a lot of travel agencies out there, tour operators out there who can really promote, who can really offer you a, let's say, an affordable package, and you are free to choose kung sino sa kanila yung kukunin mo. So, right to be heard. This right asserts that the ability of consumers to voice complaints and concerns about a product in order to have an issue handled efficiently and responsibly. So, if ever you have any concerns, any complaints, so you have the right to be heard. May karapatan ka na pakinggan kanila. As long as na yung complaint mo is idadaan mo sa maayos na paraan. So, next one is the right to satisfaction of basic needs. So, ano yung mga basic needs na yun? Usually, the food, the clothing, the shelter, healthcare, education, public utilities, water, and sanitation. So, those are the basic needs. Ibig sabihin, you have the right to buy everything, you have the right to purchase everything as long as you have the money, and of course, you're not, let's say, you're not stepping out of the law. So, next one is the right to redress. So, when we say redress, to receive a fair settlement of just claims, including compensation for misrepresentation, shoddy goods, and unsatisfactory services. That's why, kapag may mga binibili kayo mga products, or may mga services, usually merong mga warranty, meron silang mga sinasabi sa inyo, na wherein, pag bumili ka ng particular product, may resibo, so you can either replace the product, diba? You can replace the product with a different brand, depende sa policy nung mismong store or ng mismong agency. So next one is the right to consumer education. It is very important that we have to acquire knowledge and skills needed to be informed. Confident choices about goods and services while being aware of basic consumer rights and responsibilities and how to act on them. So as a consumer, hindi pwedeng bili lang tayo ng bili. Hindi pwedeng consume lang tayo ng consume. We really need to educate ourselves kung ano yung mga products and services na ina-avail natin at ino-offer sa atin. So right to health or right to a healthy, safe environment. So to live and work in an environment which is non-threatening to the well-being of the present and future generation. So, everywhere we go, kung tayo man is bibili ng product, mag-a-avail ng mga services, we have the right, okay, na dapat itong mga business owners na to, i-implement nila yung safe and healthy work environment. Not just for their employees, but also for their clients and customers. So next one is the Consumer Act of the Philippines, Republic Act of the Philippines, Congress of the Philippines, Metro Manila, Republic Act number 7394, or the Consumer Act of the Philippines. So this is just a summarization of the last points that I mentioned, but this is focused sa ating bansa or sa Philippines. So Article 1, short title, this act shall be known as the Consumer Act of the Philippines. Article 2, Declaration of Basic Policy. It is the policy of the state to protect the interests of the consumer, promote his general welfare, and establish standards of conduct for business and industry. Towards this end, the state shall implement measures to achieve the following objectives. So, itong mga objectives na to, na-mention na natin siya kanina. Yung the right to safety, the right to be heard. So, kumbaga, mas detail lang siya dito, pero kanina, yung summarization is na-mention na natin. So, you can just read this part, and let's move on to the next slide. So, let's go here sa prohibited acts and penalties. So, let's say, for example, your complaints are not heard, okay? So, hindi siya napakinggan, or let's say, hindi siya na-action na ng maayos, so there might be penalties. Okay? So there might be a prohibited acts na may corresponding penalties. So manufacture for sale, offer for sale, distribute in commerce, or import into the Philippines any consumer product which is not in conformity with any applicable consumer product quality or safety standard promulgated in this act. So ano yung mga prohibited acts? Yung mga unlawful. Pag nag-import ka, pag nagbenta ka, pag nag-manufactured ka ng products na hindi po pwede or nalabag, na hindi license, walang approval. So, you can be held accountable for that. So, next one is manufacture for sale. So, ayan, naulit lang. Refuse access to copying of pertinent records or fail or refuse to permit entry of any inspection by authorized officers or employees of the department. So, ibig sabihin, kung wala ka namang tinatago na kakaiba, umaayos naman yung operation ng particular company or establishment, the government employees or the persons in charge have the right to inspect sa iyong property. They have the right to see your business permit, yung mga, let's say, mga registrations mo, yung mga requirements, so they have the right. So, if in case na hindi yun magawa, so you can be held also accountable. So, failed to comply with an order issued under Article 11 relating to notification of substantial product hazards and to recall, repair, replacement, or refund of unsafe products. So, kung halimbawa, nakastate na sa resibo na pwede namang palitan yung product, open naman na for replacement pero hindi pinalitan. So, you have the right to complain about that kind of situation. Lalong-lalo na sa mga appliances, di ba? May mga warranty. Kung hindi nila gagawin yon at hindi pa naman talaga expire yung pinaka-coverage ng warranty, so you have the right to complain. So, fail to comply with the rule prohibiting stockpiling. So, ano ba yung sinasabi natin na stockpiling? So, yung sinasabi natin na stockpiling, so usually it is a law term na wherein ang kanyang focus is to, ayan. So, stockpiling is the accumulation of large stock of goods or materials. So, ibig sabihin, iniiwasan kasi natin talaga yung hoarding, di ba? Alam nyo yun, yung masyado kang maraming binibili na hindi na nabibigyan ng opportunity yung ibang tao. So, kailan na uso yung ganun? Nowadays, di ba, pandemic, there are limitations sa pagbili ng alcohol, sa pagbili ng mga vitamins, sa mga pagbili ng mga basic essentials, na dapat mabigyan din natin ng chance yung ibang tao. Because, sabi nga natin, we are not here para makipagkompetensya sa isa't isa. Lalong-lalo na sa pagdating sa mga brands na ino-offer. So, kailangan lang talaga maglagay ng limitation. But, nonetheless, is kapag wala namang pandemic, so talaga hindi po pwede yung stockpiling na tinatawag. Yung pag-accumulate mo ng napakaraming goods na naubusan na yung ibang mga consumers or yung mga customers. So, any person who shall violate any provision of Article 18 shall, upon conviction, be subject to a fine not less than of 1,000 pesos but not more than 10,000 pesos. So, in case na malabag mo yung mga pinag-usapan natin kanina, so, pwede mong bayaran is 1,000 to 10,000 pesos or even an imprisonment or pagkakakulong. Not less than 2 months but not more than 2 years or 1 year rather. And so next one is the Protection Against Deceptive, Unfair, and Unconscionable Sales Act or Practices. So ito yung sinasabi natin kanina that the product should protect the customers at all costs. It is not deceptive, unfair, and unconscionable sales. Ibig sabihin, hindi tayo dinideceive ng product na yun. Dapat totoo. Sabi nga dito, fair, honest, equitable. Lalong-lalo na sa part ng mga consumer. Kasi ayaw mo naman maging business owner, pero ang goal mo lang is mandaya, di ba? Ang goal mo lang is murahan ng murahan yung mga ginagamit na materials for your product. Ang ending, yung product is hindi pala siya ganun ka-durable. Madali pa lang masira, pero ang mahal ng cost. So, hindi siya makatarungan. Next one is the advertising and sales promotion. The state shall protect the consumer from misleading advertisement, fraudulent sales promotion practices. Lalong-lalo na sa part ng mga services because services are intangible. Ibig sabihin, hindi natin mahawakan, hindi natin siya talagang makikita agad. We need to go to that particular place in order for us to experience yung services na yun. Lalong-lalo na sa tourism industry, di ba? Na ang ganda-ganda ng advertisement, ang ganda-ganda ng picture sa particular tourist destination, pero pagdating mo doon, iba naman pala. So, katugtong din siya nung nauna nating pinag-usapan. It should not be deceptive, it should not be unfair or unconscionable. So, paano naman yung sinasabi dito na investigation procedure? So, of course, to summarize everything, dadaan tayo sa tamang process. So, may mga nabanggit dito na terms, such as for example, yung tinatawag natin na prima facie. Ayan, so nabanggit siya dito. So, provided that upon finding the department of a prima facie violation of any provision of this act or any rule or regulation promulgated under its authority. So, ano ba yung sinasabi natin na prima facie? So, prima facie is what we call something that has been proven or assumed to be true unless there is an evidence presented to the contrary. Ibig sabihin, ito yung isang bagay na ano na siya, napatunayan na or kaya naman is inassume na totoo. Pero, wala pa talagang evidence or depende na lang kung may mga evidence na i-present. So, ibig sabihin, for example, siniraan mo yung isang restaurant dahil merong ipis dun sa, let's say, pagkain or merong mga particular dirt sa pagkain. Pinost mo sa social media and so on. Pero, sa part ng ibang mga tao, hindi sila naniniwala. O kaya naman, kung ikaw mismo yung naka-experience, you can really prove it. As long as you have the evidence. And then, sinasabi din dito, it may be motu proprio. So, when we say motu proprio, it is a term or other phrase for on his own impulse. Okay? On his own impulse. So, ano yung sinasabi sa motu proprio? So, it is an official act taken without a formal request from another party. Okay? Ito yung ginawa mong act or hakbang, pero wala pang permiso nung kabilang partido. Kasi usually, di ba, kapag may complaints, dalawa yan or maraming parties na involved. Ikaw tsaka yung establishment, ikaw at yung iba pang mga naka-experience at yung establishment or pwedeng mas marami pa. So, sa investigation procedure, so sinasabi dito that the Consumer Arbitration Officer shall conduct hearings on any complaint received by him or referred by the counsel. So, ano ba yung tinatawag na arbitration? These are the private process where disputing parties agree that one or several individual can make a decision about a particular dispute or disagreement after receiving evidence and hearing arguments. Ibig sabihin, ito yung usually na proseso na pribado siya na wherein nag-uusap na lang, nagkakaroon ng pag-uusap yung both parties kung ano yung magiging desisyon nila about a certain problem. Kung pwede silang magkaroon ng settlement o kailangan pang humantong sa demandahan. So usually naman kasi dito sa pagsalo, talagang ang una is may mga hearings talaga. Siyempre magkaka-hearing lang kapag naisampa mo na nga yung kaso. So parties to the case shall be entitled to notice of the hearing and shall be informed of the date, time, and place of the same date, time, and place. So ibig sabihin, kung may hearing na, both parties should be informed. Kailan yung hearing? Saan yung hearing? Okay? Anong oras yung hearing? So, dapat meron din silang copy of the complaint attached doon sa pinaka-noticed. Ayan. So, other things na sinabi dito, the department shall afford all interested parties the opportunity to submit a statement of facts, arguments, offers of settlement, or proposals of adjustment. So, sinasabi lang dito na both parties, dapat meron silang nasubmit na kanilang mga ebidensya. Okay? O kaya naman, yung kanilang patotoo, yung mga facts, o kaya naman mag-o-offer sila ng settlement. Kasi 'di ba, pag nag-offer ka ng settlement, you meet halfway, hindi nalalaki. Kaya nga yung iba, ayaw na nilang pinaabot sa court yung problema kung kaya namang ayusin agad-agad. So, others mentioned here, the Consumer Arbitration Officer may summon witnesses, administer oaths and affirmation, issue subpoena and subpoena duces tecum, rule upon others of proof, and receive relevant evidence. So, sinasabi lang dito na upon the private process, talagang dapat may witness para ma-prove. Okay? So, may witness, merong mag-administer ng oaths sa affirmation, o kaya naman, bibigyan ka na ng subpoena. So, ibig sabihin, dadaan kasi tayo sa legal na proseso. At minsan, yun yung mas nakakatakot sa part ng company kapag mga madami na silang legal issues. It means na yung operation ng isang company, ng isang establishment, is hindi talaga maayos. Kasi kung wala namang mga legal issues na nilalabag, maayos naman yung operation ng company, wala tayong pag-uusapan na ganito. So, kumbaga, we are talking about such kind of things because in the near future, you might experience this. You might encounter this. So, next one is the complaints. So, DTI is committed to providing fair, timely, and professional response to your feedback. But then again, sino ba si DTI? So, DTI is the Department of Trade and Industry. So, what is their purpose? Bakit may Department of Trade and Industry? It is their task to foster competitive and innovative industry and services sector that contributes job generation and inclusive growth and advance rights and responsibilities of consumer. So, ibig sabihin, si DTI, ang pinaka-main role niya is to generate jobs. Okay? Maraming trabaho. Para na sa ganun, mag-create tayo ng growth sa isang country, sa isang bansa. And in that case, syempre, kapag maraming trabaho, hindi pwedeng maisaalang-alang yung mga rights and responsibilities din ng ating mga consumers, ng mga business owner, ng mga employees. So, how are you going to file a complaint? Diba? So, kitang-kita naman dito, you can send us your concerns on warranties. Ayan. No returns, no exchange, and other mediated related concerns through our national or provincial offices and via email. So, syempre, if you have complaints, mga concerns, sa likod ng product ninyo, nakalagay naman doon. Ano yung pinaka-hotline, ano yung website, saan kayo pwedeng magreklamo, and all that. Or you can even visit DTI, yung kanilang website. So, here are the series of the information na dapat nakalagay sa complaint letter if ever na may mga complaints. Of course, complete name, address, email, and contact number. Ayan. Contact number of the complainant and the respondent. Narration of facts. So, syempre, ilalahad mo doon. Ano ba yung nangyari? Ano ba yung mga katotohanan na nangyari? The demand. Kasi, ano yung gusto mo bang mangyari after that? Ano ba yung gusto mo? Napalitan nila yung product? Magsasampa ka ba ng kaso and all that? So, scanned and attached proof of transaction and any government-issued ID of the complainant. So, sa lahat naman talaga ng transaction nowadays, hinihinga na tayo ng valid ID para ma-assure natin na legit yung information, legit yung tao. So, saan nyo ipa-file yung complaint? If ever there are complaints, so you can file sa kanilang, ayan, if there are complaints, you can file through consumercare@dti.gov.ph or in person, you can either go to their branch, so sa Makati City. So, for more information, you can just visit the link about the dti.gov.ph/consumer/complaints. So, what are the top 5 consumer complaints in the tourism and hospitality industry and how to handle them? So, basically, these are just basic complaints, pero ito yung mga basic complaints na talaga namang natitrigger yung isang company. Ito yung complaints na malakas din yung impact. So, ayan, for example, there's no free Wi-Fi in my room. Diba? Nowadays, a lot of people expect that every establishments, every coffee shops, every restaurant, every guest room has a Wi-Fi. But not all establishment has a Wi-Fi to offer. So, ibig sabihin, how are you going to handle the situation? So, in case that you don't have a Wi-Fi sa inyong mga guest room, let's say hotel, so you can inform the guests kung saan may free Wi-Fi. Let's say, for example, may free Wi-Fi lang sa restaurant, sa lobby area. Okay? O kaya naman, you can either offer services such as yung mga Wi-Fi packages, okay, na pwede nilang i-purchase during their stay. So, if your establishment doesn't provide Wi-Fi access, yan, as mentioned, you can provide your guests with the list of nearby restaurants or coffee shop that do offer Wi-Fi access. So, let's say for example, sa hotel mo, dahil let's say small scale hotel ka lang naman, so in case that you don't have a Wi-Fi, or let's say sira yung Wi-Fi sa hotel, you can offer or you can even provide or suggest sa iyong mga guests na, ma'am, there is a nearby Starbucks coffee shop here in our place, so there is a Wi-Fi out there, so you can go there and have an internet access. Okay, so depende on how are you going to handle the guests. Next one is attitudes and behavior of your staff are unacceptable. So, ito rin. So, we have different personalities, we have different attitudes on how are we going to handle things. But, of course, our aim at the end of the day is to satisfy our customers. So, before any complaints, or let's say, if there is a complaint as of the moment, you really need to assess first the situation. Both sides. Okay? Both sides, magkabilang panig. Ibig sabihin, wag mo lang pakinggan yung sa tingin mong dapat stand ng company. Pakinggan mo yung guest. Kasi yung guest ang may problema. So, you have to listen intently to the customer. Show genuine interest in the matter. Ibig sabihin, ipakita mo na you are interested na na i-resolve, na solusyonan yung problema ni guest. Para hindi na kayo humantong sa mga legal aspects. Para hindi na kayo humantong sa kasuhan, sa demandahan, or whatsoever. So, sabi dito, depending on the nature of the complaint, you may also consider offering guest some form of compensation for the discomfort or inconvenience that he or she might have experienced. So, para hindi na lumala ang lahat, you can either refund the money, di ba? Kung ganun yung situation. You can either give a guest a complimentary breakfast, complimentary room for the inconvenience that your company caused. So, complaint number 3, sinasabi dito, I canceled my hotel room booking just before I was supposed to check in. Why can't I get my money back? So, depende yan sa hotel policy. Okay? So, as mentioned a while ago, that we have different types of reservations. It can either be confirmed or guaranteed. So, pag confirmed, usually you just input your personal information and present the confirmation slip, okay, confirmation letter upon checking in. But if your case is you have a guaranteed reservation where you already inputted or typed the credit card details or your card details, there is no way that you're going to refund the money you've spent. Depende na lang if the hotel will allow it or they have different policies for that. But for the cancellation policies, so it should be explained to the clients at the time that they make their bookings. So, let's say kung yan is telephone reservation, you have to tell the client, the guests, kung ano yung dapat na tandaan nila. Na kapag nag-cancel sila, hindi na ma-refund, it's either they make it to the hotel or talagang totally masayang na yung kanilang booking. Or they might, there might be an instances na pwedeng i-reschedule yung booking. Ayan. So, complaint number 4, that's not what it says or looks like on your website. So, clients often take the images and photos displayed on the websites and brochures as an accurate indication of what they can expect when they arrive at your establishments. So, yun nga. Dapat kasi when we are having or when we are promoting a particular product or services, we might cause a deception, or let's say we might deceive our customers. Because dapat kung ano yung updated na itsura ng hotel, as much as possible, yun sana yung nakalagay sa website. Yun sana yung nakalagay sa brochure. Although, hindi mo naman laging mababago yon because kailangan talaga ng proper maintenance or ng maintenance team. But we really need to make sure na kung ano yung in-offer natin, yun talaga yung ibibigay natin sa ating mga clients. Because we don't want them to be upset. We don't want them to be disappointed to the fact na hindi na sila uulit na mag-avail ng mga products and services na yun. So, provide updated information and images of your website. So, in case that happens, so you can either provide meal vouchers for free or offer discounts of their stay. So, depende sa transaction or sa pakikipag-usap nyo kay guest. Para na sa ganun, mas maayos na yung problema. Malesen yung kanilang galit. So, next one is, I'm supposed to pay extra for this. How was I supposed to know? So, extra charges are often added to guest accounts for things like the drinks that they consume from the bar fridge in their hotel, phone calls they make using the phone in their hotel room, and snacks they consume on day trips. And in many cases, guests are not aware at the time that they will be charged extra for these items. So, in hotel industry, after or before checking in, talagang pinapaliwanag ni FO ano yung mga policies, ano yung mga procedures na dapat tandaan. That whenever you consume a particular snack in the minibar o yung maliit na ref dun sa pinaka-room, there is a corresponding charge. Hindi yan free. Although we have a complimentary drinks na sinuserve kay guests upon checking in or upon the arrival, or complimentary water, that is free. Pero kung ano yung mga nakalagay sa minibar or sa mini fridge, yun po is may corresponding na bayad. So, dapat well-informed si guest. So, kung sa tourism industry naman, if ever na magpapa-additional ng araw si guest, halimbawa, or si tourist, let's say 3 days and 2 nights, gagawin na niyang 4 days and 3 nights. So, dapat ma-inform niyo si guest na yung extra na yon, extra day, lahat ng mga activities na gagawin nila with that extra day, meron pa rin corresponding charges. So, dapat nga doon is well-informed sila para hindi sila magulat na bakit may mga ganito. Ano ba to? Dinagdag nyo lang ba to? Meron ba kayong conflict of interest? So, para maiwasan yon, your information should always be updated. Lalong-lalo na sa part ni guest. Ayan. So, explain what are the inclusions and explain what are the exclusions. So, para maiwasan. So, if ever you miss some points, you can either visit the following websites or the references. So, in case you miss some points or you want to, let's say, replay, so feel free to do it or even download the lesson video in YouTube. So, thank you so much for listening in our today's lesson. See you again next time and keep safe.